Welcome back on the AM show, and from here we go hard on those matters that are pertinent to all of us in Ghana. And I have quite the squad here to help us dilate on those matters. Ghana, for welcome aboard. This is the AM show. In case you just stumbled here, and this is the big stories we're getting into now. Now, joining us this morning, we have the Member of Parliament for Anyanso Utuom. Dr. Dixon Adomako Kissi. For a moment, you know, these things roll off our tongues, but sometimes the wires just crisscross and you have to, so much you're thinking. Dr. Dixon Adomako Kissi is Member of Parliament for Anyanso Utuom. But there's an interesting figure in the studio this morning. If you remember former Zaire, Mobutu Sese Seko has joined us. But is he even supposed to be alive? Anyway, the Member of Parliament for South Dine, Roxanne Nelson Dapea Mepo, has decided to give us a Mobutu Sese Seko look. And two people saw him this morning. I asked my producer, is that Mobutu Sese Seko? And another person also asked. So, Mobutu, Roxanne Nelson Dapea Mepo. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, my brother.
Morning.
And Doc, good morning. Good morning to you.
The look, though, what inspired this look?
Well, after hard work, you have to take back seats, savor the victory, and then move on again. So if you see me looking this way this morning, it's because of the hard work we put in that paid off.
Okay. Yes, so this is your victory attire?
Yes, for the entire NDC and the entire citizens of Assin.
When you say for the entire NDC, are you referring to the outfit or the victory?
The victory.
The victory. Yes. Okay.
My chairman, my general secretary, my communication officer, the entire national executives, leadership in parliament, constituency executives, regional executives, members of parliament, party stalwarts, young, old, who poured into Assin North to help us work so we retain the seat. Gratitude to all of them.
We'll get into Assin North
and good morning to my constituency.
I was about to offer both of you that opportunity, so you can go ahead.
Yes. Pekik Palik Pervet Tongo. Good morning to you and my branch executives, my constituency executives in South Dine, NDC.
All right. Let's come to you, Anyanso Utuom. Okay, so let me switch back to English. Let me move from the Potokasa. What's happening in Anyanso Utuom? I always want, every time you members of parliament, and I'll come back to you for that, when you come here, I want to know between the last time and now what have you been doing? It's also a way of letting your constituents know that this is what I have been up to. So over to you.
Well, let me thank you for the opportunity to be here, especially after nice holiday. So once again, Barkat Salah, or how do we say it? Yeah.
Did you get some of the Salah meat? Because you look very fresh.
Yeah,
you're looking good.
I have some meat in
Roxanne, you've not told him. Isn't he looking good?
We discussed that outside. He and I, we are close.
If I called him King Jaffa from coming to America when I saw him.
Oh, that's
you recall, yes.
So unfortunately, I woke up this morning to a knockdown death around Sotom. So that's how my morning started.
Condolences.
So
on the highway, on the
it's not really a highway. This is just a normal road. Trotro driver hits a woman, and unfortunately, so it brings the question of road traffic accidents in my constituency, and in fact, I'm deeply troubled by the Pokwasi Awoshi main road. We've had incidents, and in fact, students who are knocked down going to Odogono. Senior high school. Just about 3 weeks ago, we had one similar incident, and the child was rushed to South, which is Akawe. So it's deeply worrying, and I think, per what I understand, Urban Roads has told me that we need about 5 footbridges on that road, and I'm hoping that at some point in time, funds will be made available.
5 of them.
Yes,
That's quite a
that
number.
stretch, yeah.
And you know the other thing we should pray for? That when they are put up, people actually use them.
That is another troubling thing. But I think, especially with the students, I'm concerned largely about the young ones. And I think they usually adapt very well to, using the...
Once there is enforceability as well, people there too.
So those are some of the few things that are worrying. And I think beyond that, I mean, my municipal assembly is doing very well. We could do better, but I think we're doing very well. And I would commend my municipal chief executive, Bashiru Mohammed. He's very dedicated and committed to making sure that whatever resources he has, he's putting it to use.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask, are the roads getting to see any facelifts? There are some difficult roads in your community, especially Antieku. I keep going back.
Yes. I mean, in fact,
are you getting any action?
There are videos.
And let me just say this. In fact, he really shouldn't be doing that. You know, the MPs really shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But they do them. Who is the DC in your community? Or
we have an MC.
An MC.
Yes, Honorable.
Because they actually are the agents of this. It's not your role.
It's true, but it's become so difficult to be explaining it almost every time to the populace. But you're right about that. But I said, earlier on that he's very committed. And so far, one key thing is that I think as we fix the roads leading up to the municipal chief, the alternative roads, we'll do a main bridge for Antieku, to curb the flooding on the roads when it rains. And it's deeply concerning because, in fact, I must admit, there's a road right in front of my private hospital that I run. So it's not something that I take lightly. Everybody, I know I have enough insults in the trotros and taxis, every time they drive by, and I've escalated it to the highest level, including.
And that's why when you, the MPs, come here, I also try to deflect some because I know the pressure is massive, even for things you are not supposed to be doing. You are lawmakers. You are not agents of development. You can lobby in Parliament, but you are not.
But you see, the key
technically
thing, again, is that the supporting institutions for our work,
you feel us.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
The supporting institutions, I mean, just recently, some of the exposures, people who are on support for feeding and allowances in other countries will not be worrying their MPs because there's a governmental program that helps people with rental issues and all these things that people come to us for. And the other thing too is that unfortunately, I think that if you have an A student who doesn't get a good school and you come to me, I understand. But sometimes now people are abusing the opportunity. Even very poorly performing students, their parents would come to you seeking for favors that should be for people who really need it. So these are some of the challenges. And I remember Ken saying that even in protocol, there's now protocol. Which Ken? Presidential aspirant. He says that even in protocol, there's protocol now because everybody seems to want protocol. But other than that, I think we made a commitment to serve the people.
Right.
And whatever demands they put on us, in as much as it's huge, I think that's what we committed to. So we'll do our possible best.
Right.
And I think that over time, parliamentary work has to be modified, one, to meet the demands of the people, and then two, so that we can be very much well equipped and more independent.
All right. And we can also get into the conversation. I mean, this is common knowledge. We'll not spend time on it. I want us to quickly get into the very hard issues, but the bit about your common fund as well, and sometimes not getting paid. That also impedes your work in the constituencies. And with a large constituency like yours, how many, is it over 100,000?
We are
325,000. Look at
and
that.
I get the same common fund with him.
No.
Oh, but that one, I think we've discussed this
general
before.
population.
Yeah, general
We've discussed
population,
this before, that it cannot also be that. I mean, there are exigencies. If we want to say, when there's a bigger population, maybe, where would I say, Bantama,
Yes.
or in the Volta region,
Or Ashaiman.
the K2 area.
Ashaiman.
I mean, or Asaiman.
Yes.
Well, it's a discussion. But you legislators, do you ever bring it up? Do you
Yes,
ever bring
do.
up this matter?
We do. You see, he occupies a physically small area, but with a high population density.
Right.
I occupy a less populated area, but
With
with
a
a
larger
large
space.
Yes.
So sometimes covering
so I
the
have
space
more
is
travel
more
time.
difficult.
Look, in Assin North, between say Agboja Kope and Subinsu, that's about 80 to 90 kilometers. You understand? And that's one constituency. In terms of physical distance, you have to travel in order to reach your people. So it's the same in say whole West and Southern. Southern, I think mine is about 60 kilometers from Ajebu to Apegbe. You know, so it's a bit difficult.
But the key
It's a bit
issues,
difficult.
For instance,
Yeah.
the population that would worry about school fees would be far fewer.
I made the point. I made the point that in
that's-
terms of there are disparities. So there's been talk about trying to formulate a certain formula
Right.
to making this distribution. But I have been advocating the Kenyan way,
Which is,
that
let's not spend too much time on
yes,
this,
yes,
but
yes,
quickly.
which is that MPs are now giving funding to undertake fiscal projects.
Okay.
They went through this process.
So, for example, roads,
Yes.
hospitals.
Yes, they went through this process until in 2010 when they did the constitutional amendments and decided to do what they call the Constituency Development Fund.
Do you know how many Kenyan shillings they are getting?
They get
approximately,
equivalent
so
of
we can-
$1 million every year. They have a
Equivalent of $1 million.
They have a five-year
Wow.
term, so they can build feeder roads, they build hospitals, they build schools, but you account for it. You're audited by the auditor, by their auditor general, and every year once you are audited and your accounts are clean, you get reimbursed. As we speak, our DCs and MC have been given their common fund,
Right.
but he and I.
You've not got your
Yes.
common
The
fund.
fourth quarter last year, first quarter this year hasn't come.
But sometimes I hear some get theirs, others don't get theirs.
No, it's
not
the
always uniform.
DCE. In terms of what goes to the assembly, they have received theirs.
Okay.
But he and I, we haven't received our
Would you
project fund.
support such an idea? Let's say, let's assume we're doing the same thing. $1 million per member of parliament. That would be $275 million. Would you support something like that?
Yes and no.
To aid you as though you are not agents of development, as pseudo agents of
I
development.
really
Would
think
you-
that the
would you-
institutions should work.
Okay.
You know, road ministry should be working very well and effective.
Right.
And road ministry is under resourced, hence some of the problems.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I personally don't want to be overburdened with things that are not legislative.
Right.
In as much as all the other institutions can be working, because this will just embolden people, and then that same claim that MP,
And now it will actually make it
legal.
This is your role. Would you then support maybe?
That's my concern.
I'll get your initial thing, but I just
you.
want to add this to what you're going to say. Would you then support maybe that, okay, so we should rather give the sum of money to the DCE or the MCE to execute the work?
I'm of the other opinion that some taxes should be localized. For instance, DMV. If all cars registered in my constituency pay tax for my constituency, I'm sure my roads will be much better.
All right.
If you understand what I mean.
All right.
Because the population of cars I have in my constituency, which will be tied to my constituency.
But you see, if you look at it nationally, some constituencies
well.
may also bleed. It may not work for them.
No, but I'm just
so those
saying.
are the give and take situations.
I
Yes.
disagree that the work of the parliamentarian is only legislative. It's mainly legislative, but we have other duties to undertake. Scrutiny. Look, there's a portion of the highway between West Hills Mall and Wager Junction. You know, rainfall runoff has deposited a heap of sand in the middle of the highway. Department of Urban Roads is in this city, and for the past 1 month or so, there's a heap of sand sitting in the middle of the 3-lane highway. And it's still there.
causing traffic.
Causing traffic. Others can run into it at dead of night and somersault and get involved in accidents, sometimes leading to fatality. So the institutions are disappointing us. I will agree that the MCs be giving the resources. They are already giving the resources, but they are not delivering because they don't go back to the people for votes.
Right. So
We do.
So
So there's a better way of measuring the performance of an MP by the people than the DC. The DC owes allegiance to his president.
okay.
The appointing authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, so it's difficult. So I think that the Kenyan model will be suitable.
Well, I mean, if
they are
we
also
have it,
lawmakers,
but I really
they are making interventions, critical interventions in their counties and their regions and constituencies
Yeah.
to help. If I have
For
that
us,
kind
it will
of
be
money,
municipal, not county.
yes. No, I to help if I have that money to be able to deliver on my mandate in South and build schools more.
You can prioritize better.
Yes, you can
Than
prioritize.
somebody-
Okay, so let's make tracks on this conversation. Sometimes when we come here, we just want to get some.
So please draw attention to that
Percolation
heap
happening.
of sand in the middle of the highway between West Hills Mall and Wager Junction. They should go and fetch it.
Between West Hills Mall and Wager
Yes,
Township.
they should go and
That also
scoop it.
reminds me. You remember when Ebony Rains unfortunately lost her life?
yes.
Similar. In fact,
Agreed.
sometimes when you are driving, if you are not careful, regardless of where you are, you will just see. Sometimes in well-developed places, even in East Legon, you see that you are taking a curve. Someone has piled sand,
Yes.
stones, and
Yes.
everything. If you are not
Yes.
careful, you just and imagine if it is night. And let's say, gentlemen,
right.
you have an emergency.
Yes.
I see it in different parts,
Yes.
even in residential
They
areas.
even dump
And
the
you ask
sand
yourself,
on the gutter.
How can this be happening?
When it rains, the gutter is sealed. They dump the building materials to seal
People
the gutter.
are so reckless, and someone dies, and no one will take the blame for this. We lost Ebony Rains. I mean, maybe she was
that's it,
more
that
popular.
talented.
But how many more people are dying? I think recently I heard of a similar situation on the Kumasi stretch, but I think that one was an accident or something of the sort, which created. So it's something we really have to look at. But let's talk Assin North. That election has happened. Bibibo, Bibiaba. It was coming. Now it has come. There are so many angles to it, that I want to run by both of you.
Okay.
James Jachi Quayson was put forward again by the NDC in spite of his court case,
Yeah.
and he won a resounding victory, over 57% of the vote. Now, prior to this, I want us to look at it from the legal dimension all the way down to the political happenings there. President Akufo-Addo, in his commentary with Charles Opoku, suggested, you know what, don't vote for someone who, I found it a bit unfortunate when he said, "Nihu nimfasuo," and then he made mention of the fact that he had already said that I am in no way going to prejudice the legal, matters that he's going through. Some have suggested that I have a hand in something. I don't. But then immediately after that, he said, but don't vote for someone who will be saddled with court issues and blah, 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 suggesting that if you vote for this person, the courts may rule him out and you would have wasted your vote. I personally found that unfortunate. I don't know how both of you found it. But then we get to D-Day and the police service was in full force. What do you make of that? I heard you concerned about it, but honestly, Roxanne, I was not concerned about it. I felt it was only the Ghana Police Service trying to ensure that whatever may be on the ground, they can deal with it. What is your take on that as well? And what does this victory mean for the NDC and this loss mean for the MPP? In fact, you at a point predicted that it wasn't going to be that easy, that simple, that likely it would, and it has turned out that way. I'll start with you, Doc.
Well, let me first of all commend Quayson for victory. There's no small election.
Right.
There's no small election, and I must commend him. It came to, he's been through a lot, and I can relate to him because of his diasporan experience, and I'm of the opinion.
You've had same as well.
I think that diasporans have a lot to offer this country. We're first Ghanaians, and we're still Ghanaians. And as I would say in many instances, we should welcome a lot more diasporans into Ghana so that they can add to the human capital of this country.
But a quick one, just because you've made mention of this, I'll not interrupt your flow again. On the back of some of these happenings, what has happened to Jachikwason and all of that, do you think, you say we should welcome them, but with such things happening, how welcoming do you think that is for them?
You know, the journey has some of these casualties. And this is, for me, it's just like the freedom of the African Americans. Some people died for the freedom. and I think that this sparks the debate and allows us to even talk more about this. You know, our vice president has trained outside and come back. Our president trained outside and came back. So I'm just you know, giving us that overview that the aspirants have a lot to offer and we should welcome them. Now, the other key thing is that, listen, no matter how we like it or not, this is an incumbent MP. This has never happened where you have a by-election of a certain, let me say, MP, member of parliament.
Right.
Most of the times it's a death that leads to,
Indeed.
you know, by-elections.
Or
in this
some
country.
incapacitation.
Or some severe
Health
health incapacitation. But so this was quite different in that regard, in the sense that he was an incumbent. He had what we all love in politics, and that is sympathy of the people, you know, to ride with him into the elections for just the fact that, there was an issue, legality in the sense of his allegiance, either yes or no to Ghana alone. So I think that this makes it a very peculiar thing. And right off the bat, I know in many circles of the MPP, we knew that it will be tough. But, you know,
But your party people were very confident. They said,
confidence,
especially on the back of some of the polls which suggested
this was
that
a good sports show. Listen, this was a good sports show. Phobia or Kotoko will not go fighting with morale low. We all went, and in fact, I must say that this was a very beautiful. I mean, I saw Asin Ketia and Ken Hagen. You know, I saw some of the different party, activists engaging others, and this is at best what I'm hoping that 2024, when we're doing this election, and this is how it should be. No fatalities, zero fighting, and then results come out. And as it is, I really think that our democracy is maturing. And I must commend all party members, the members of parliament that went there, rank and file from grassroots, all the way up. Chief of staff was there, the president was there, vice president, everybody.
This is one election that has got a lot of the high-flying figures coming.
I mean, all the CEOs.
Former president, current president.
Everybody,
in fact,
except
on the day.
I didn't see. I'm just
for
saying.
him, we know his situation. But you would even realize that on the day, Parliament was literally, virtually empty. I think there were.
We had 10.
5?
We had 10 on our side, and I think.
Okay, as of the time I counted,
so.
there was only one from the NDC, about a handful from your end.
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't.
So it was
do
the
any
war,
business.
the war of the roses, in the sense that the two parties. But this was a good show of sportsmanship,
right?
And I think that I must commend people who were non-violent in this whole.
How do you react to the president's comments? There are a lot of issues I want us to tackle, so I want us to
I think
the president's comments and what this means now that the MPP has lost, that seat again. And especially considering, let me just add, especially considering that if you look at the NDC's votes, previously James Jachikwason had a similar figure, but it's just that the increment was slight. In this instance, even in the strongholds of the MPP, the different polling stations where you would expect large margins, they were very low. But there was a high voter turnout. So what are the implications of that?
I have questioned where we had marked as strongholds because, in fact, strongholds come to Anyasotum, and then when you talk of strongholds, you see the gap. The gaps from 2020 elections where we categorize as strongholds in Assin North, honestly speaking, they don't meet the level that I would categorize as strongholds. In the sense that,
So are you saying your party people got it wrong?
No, I'm just saying that personally, if I was going to categorize some of the polling stations that they said were strongholds, I don't think they'll fly as strongholds for me. Because, when NDC gets 295 and MPP gets 260, that is not, or the reverse. Those are not strongholds. Strongholds is when you have a very wide gap, about 452 to maybe 10 or 15. Then that is a stronghold. So I really think that personally, Assin North does not have pockets of stronghold, within
All right. The comments of the president.
and I think that the president, to a large extent, I mean, we've been hoping, in as much as possible, that he always limits some of these commentary surrounding cases that are in court, and I think he's done well over the past several years. But once in a while, these things do happen, and I think that looking at the scenario and the grounds under which he spoke these things, he was just cautioning the voters that, listen, if you're looking at the long-term growth of your constituency, consider somebody with fewer, quote-unquote, court hurdles.
Is used to deal with.
In
Someone
terms
suggested that he shouldn't be the one even doing such things.
Well,
if someone is to do that, it should be people much lower down the pecking order who can say this and go scot-free. But when you, the head of the executive, says it, and the judiciary, another arm of government, the third arm of government is dealing with it, then it creates that,
the judiciary
prejudice.
is very independent. Very independent. And
but it's not always reality.
And I don't
it's
think
also
they're
about
going to,
perception.
I don't think
it's also about
I agree
perception.
with you on the perception bit, but after what happened with Domo, it's quite clear that the judiciary does not necessarily listen to the executive.
Okay.
They've dished out a ruling that is counter to the executive just quite recent.
Right.
So I mean, I think that the argument that the judiciary will succumb to any influence of the president is
okay.
And especially now that we have a new Chief Justice whose reputation she wouldn't start off with something that would drop her reputation at all. She's a very competent, powerful, independent thinker, and she demonstrated that.
Let me come to Roxanne on this now. Mr. President also mentioned that what befell Adamu Dramani Sakande is what has befallen James Gyakye Quayson. That is what he suggested. Yeah. Share your thoughts on that. So everything Assin North, from the police presence, which you felt uncomfortable about, which I did not agree with you on, and all of that. What is your take?
First of all, I disagree with Doc when he says that democracy is maturing. Not, it's deteriorating.
I felt honestly that on the back of the police presence and the free voting and everything.
You asked the question, so let me respond. The Asin North is a district. It has a police command with men already manning the security situation in Asin North. Asin North is in the central region with a regional police command. So the policemen in Asin North and the central region alone are capable of handling the matters that we saw.
There's never enough security.
Please let him
carry on.
He didn't heckle
I know.
you.
I'm just saying.
He didn't heckle you.
You don't marshal nearly 3,000 men in uniform to one district.
Was that a problem, though?
See,
I'm giving you the opportunity, but I'm just going to premise it. Was that a problem based on what we saw in Ayawaso West Wuogon? You see that maybe some would say we did not have enough men on the ground to secure the place. In this instance, they have done it, and
the
still have a
people who
problem.
created the problem in Ayawaso were not policemen; they were national security operatives. You heard the commission, the testimonies.
Right.
I speak of the Ghana Police Service, and you marshal over 300 vehicles and motorbikes. Motorbikes alone were over 100, with men on them. Now, you pretend that you are organizing a health screening exercise.
Pretend.
It's pretentious. And I say this. On Sunday, at Nyame Betre, a farming community, cocoa farmers, I got there by 5 to work. Policemen came when the people were going to the farm, supposedly to conduct health screening.
Policemen?
Yes.
To do health screening.
To do health screening, I tell you.
Definitely.
Two vehicles. They had come to mount.
Do you have any evidence? Do you have anything
I wasn't
to
alone.
corroborate?
I interacted with them. They set up to do health screening for the
So
people.
you mean police hospital send people?
I don't know whether it's police. I'm just making a point. Are you not aware that the police conducted health screening in Assin North?
No, what I know.
No, are you not aware?
I think I heard it was part of a
It's certainly.
number
But
of
I'm telling
activities
you,
they were going
I want to tell you.
But that might be a community engagement
That is
profiling
not, that is
for
not,
the police.
That is not
Okay,
community
Dr.
engagement.
make your point.
You
Go
came
ahead.
to set up to do health screening. You didn't even inform the people. So the people were not aware. So they had gone to the farm. So just to demonstrate waste of resources. But I'm saying that you don't do that supposedly to support the government in power.
No.
That is what happened. Go and check whether the police are in Assin North conducting health screening today.
But what I find curious, is that if they did conduct the health screening on the day and the voting public were involved, then it also
Not on the day. It didn't
wasn't
happen.
on the day.
It didn't happen on Tuesday.
Okay, fine.
I speak of the conduct of the police days before the election on Tuesday.
All right.
Were they offering protection to people conducting health screening? That is also
No, it was the police itself that was conducting the health screening, cross-check.
Really?
Yes,
And the only police service that handles health matters is police hospitals.
I know.
So are you saying that doctors and nurses from police hospital went to Assin?
I don't know. But these are men.
Since we don't have all the facts, there are
But
things
no,
you don't know,
these
and there
are-
are things he
these are
doesn't know as
facts.
well. No, I'm saying
So
when I
I
say
know a
facts,
team.
I mean
I know a
you don't
team
know
that went
all the
to conduct.
underlying currents
I
about
know a
why
spoke with the
voluntary.
policeman.
Listen, I know a voluntary group that went to conduct health screening.
From where?
And this
Voluntary group from where?
health screening voluntary group within the MPP.
Within the MPP.
Within the
Please.
MPP. No. Let me just say
In Assin North?
In Assin North.
Kissi,
but these people were hired as police officers, right?
Yes.
So that's
Kissi,
why
I want the police
that
to
is
issue
one-
a statement.
One bit.
Hold on. I want the police to issue a disclaimer that they did not conduct health screening in Assin North a day or 2 or 3 before Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, so
And they were not telling the people that they were sent by the president to check their health.
But what's wrong with that?
There is everything wrong about it.
But I don't think the police.
There's everything wrong about
please
this
let him
approach.
finish.
So you're saying they were telling the people that they have
Exactly.
been sent by
Yes.
the president?
Yes.
Did they say that in your presence?
Not in my presence.
you were with those
Not
police-
when I was
how
in
many
Namibia.
police officers were they?
The team that came to Nyamibechre were about 8. They
8.
came in 2 vehicles.
Did any of
Two
them
pickups.
say any such thing in
Two
your
police
presence that
vehicles.
Mr.
Two police
President has
vehicles.
sent us?
That is one village.
Did any of them say that?
Not in my presence. But the people told us.
And
the
they had
people told
medical
us.
gadgets and everything.
Yes. They set up.
So what kind of health screening did they conduct?
They were checking pressure, those normal health screening things. I am not saying that it is a wrong thing to do. I am saying that the timing and even the location.
And
You don't do that in Accra. You don't do that in my constituency in South Dine. You go and do that in Assin North.
I think if
A
it is
couple of
so.
days. That is the
So
point.
basically, you are suggesting some conflict of interest.
Exactly.
No. The other thing
All right.
too is that
Exactly.
if that is the case, it could be a police way of engaging the constituency to let them
But-
have a very
so
simple,
do so-
enjoyable.
do so
But I
and
do
months,
agree.
you know?
I do agree that yes. I mean, health screening. There's no too exceptional time for a health screening. But
The timing.
if you're going to have a by-election and right before that, assuming what he's saying is correct, that they went there saying the president Nana Dankwa
Which I doubt.
has
Don't doubt.
sent
It happened.
us to come and conduct
Don't
a health
doubt.
No,
screening.
I mean,
happened.
I take issue with that because then, in a way, I mean, it's almost as though you were saying, okay, the president he cares for you, he's sending us to do this
Exactly.
in anticipation of an election in which an NPP member is contending.
Quid pro
That is
quid
assuming
pro
quid
quo.
pro quo. That's what you just said. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You give me, I take.
So let me deal
I
with
give
the
you
other
back.
matters.
All right.
And the fact that the Electoral Commission also have issues with the conduct of some of their senior officers. So bad.
Which ones?
Returning officers, practically telling voters to vote in a certain way. It ought not to be so.
Returning officers.
Yes.
Telling voters how to vote.
It happened.
Do you have evidence? You see, when you make mention of these things,
yes,
it is a bit problematic.
It is not problematic.
Let
me add this
from
point.
where I sit. I can't just let you say these things.
You want to see recording, you want to see pictures.
Exactly.
No pictures will not.
Video, maybe audio.
There's a video of an electoral commission officer who had been given money, 5,000. The police had to retrieve the money from him immediately.
Given money by whom?
If we go into the nitty-gritties,
It's not about the nitty-gritty.
There's so much on your side that I've muted on.
No, you see,
you understand?
There were counter accusations of
deal with the matter.
Influence peddling.
Deal with the matter. This video, I wasn't there, but
verifiable,
verifiable video. A policeman.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do
from an electoral commission officer.
I'm going to ask you, when this is done, to send me that.
I'll send that video
so that
to
we
you.
can analyze it for.
You will analyze. It was done by the police, not the NDC people retrieving the money.
Overall, I think the Electoral Commission.
Overall, let me tell you, even the collation center were prevented from entering. It took a few officers.
You were prevented from entering the collation
I was there.
center. By whom?
By policemen.
Just you or the MPP?
Did they know?
I don't know about the MPP. I saw Carlos crying there. They won't allow me to enter.
There were a few people who were agents.
I saw Carlos
He's still deputy, one of the deputies.
Carlos He's not chairman of trade.
Okay,
my
chairman
colleague.
of trade.
He was there. They won't allow me, but he was there.
He was assigned to.
He was assigned.
So within the NDC,
were you assigned?
Within the NDC, somebody was assigned for the collation.
Roxanne, had you been
Carlos
assigned?
was he assigned?
I was assigned.
Had you been assigned to be there?
I wasn't assigned.
So,
But I could have been there as an observer. Other MPs were permitted.
Assigned.
So no, they were not assigned.
And clearance.
So I just want to demonstrate
whether all those MPP members had been.
let me demonstrate that the people of Assin North spoke.
Agreed.
Vehemently in support of Jachi. But let's speak to the problems that we encountered.
But there are many positives. So I think we should commend.
Please wrap on that point. I want us.
When you deploy nearly half of MCE7 in the southern Ghana to Assin North, do you know how many DCs came?
To do what?
I am asking you.
No, besides coming to campaign and making sure that they're observing the process.
They should leave their posts. That's an abuse of incumbency. That's the point I'm making.
No, that is their area.
That's not their area.
But that is the Inspector General of Police.
No, I am marshalling.
His service.
I've left the issue
goes
of
well.
the police. I speak of DCs.
They are also responsible for security, which you know.
I see.
Oh, in your
are they head of DISEC?
No. They are responsible.
I didn't see my DCE though, but the number of DCEs.
Oh,
so it is the abuse that I speak of.
So if
the terrain was not fair at all. Speak to any NDC.
So basically, there was dereliction of duty.
Not dereliction of duty.
DCs, by leaving posts to come there
within Central Region.
DCs came as far as from the north.
Oh,
I saw DCs that served in the north.
Can you name
current?
Current.
Doc, let me do this. Can you name any districts in the northern region where any of these DCs could have come from?
I saw them. They should deny.
But I think we should keep in mind that the excitement for campaigning was quite huge.
Really?
On both sides. You know.
Okay.
So I don't see anything
So all of
wrong.
this happened.
I don't have a problem seeing my colleague MPs.
Very quickly.
From the whole country come.
Very quickly.
The MPs, we are political.
Please let me moderate this.
Yeah, so
there was also that very worrying issue of money.
Yes.
We saw Chairman Woon-to-me and taking money out, and we're told.
He likes to show off.
No, is this a matter of like to?
You have allowed me to conclude.
It was an MPP platform.
You haven't allowed me to conclude.
It's an MPP platform, by the way, but I'll come back to you so you do that. But what message it conveys? I mean, we spoke to different members of the MPP and we captured other things, and that one, it is TNT we're giving. Is that what we want in our democracy? And there were accusations that your side also did a few things. In fact, some people claimed, there's this person who was spoken to who said the NDC had given him 100 CDs and the MPP had given him 200 CDs.
Really?
You know, so the accusations cut across. What are we doing to our democracy? Quick thoughts on that. A minute each, and then you can wrap up with what you were saying. 1 minute.
I think that the monetary influence in politics, whether we like it or not, to a large extent, is going to be part of us, for forever.
You seem to be repeating what Kufuor said. It's been with us since the days of Adam.
No, I mean, listen, we need to be as real as possible. Granted that the level at which maybe we're going is not sustainable, which is what is worrying. But I think that he knows that on any day, on any election day, people would approach you and ask for TNT. And these are things that are unfortunately unavoidable in our Ghanaian politics. If you're in the UK, hardly would a voting person come to, the councilman or the member of parliament seeking for a ticket to go and vote. Hardly. But then, what they do is they provide buses and they bus elderly people. And this happens, this is the going out to vote processes. And I think that, and I hope that sometime, hopefully, some of these things will change. But the beautiful thing is that, as you can see per the results, people necessarily did not vote because of these funds that were provided.
And let me just mention, I think it was the presidential, the flag bearership contest of the NDC. I think some people also made mention there that a promise had been made them that their TNT would be paid.
Ghana.
John Mahama.
40.
So it's something that we are doing.
He was livid.
It's something we're doing. Your 1 minute on that, and then you can talk about.
You are killing my time. 1 minute is too small.
No, I said on this substantive issue. So you can wrap and then do the 1 minute.
So I man a polling station that has 282 voters on the roll. NDC could have given me money to give to all those people. We walked. We did what we call prompting. We went from door to door.
The same on the outside.
So you can defend your position. But NDC didn't give me money to give to 282
but
voters.
what position did I express?
You understand? So the claim that NDC gave money, I don't know. But the NDC that did tell me to go work in a polling station, they assigned me and delivered the votes. I walked. Even feeding, the people cooked for us because we slept there overnight and worked with them. So I don't know about money. What I know is that we worked hard.
Let's face it. If your side, the way our politics is played, if his side distributed money, he wouldn't come here and own up to it. If your side distributes money, you will not come here and own up.
You have been asking for evidence. You have been asking for evidence.
No, but
I am saying that
unless you are caught in the act, no one owns up to anything.
I am saying that NDC assigned me to a polling station. Mm-hmm. They didn't give me money. They asked me to go and work.
Okay, so
deliver the
point made. So can we make tracks?
Yes.
I just wanted to make one key point. He's positing that I said that we were giving money to distribute, but that's not what I said here.
No, you mentioned TNT.
I said
you
that
want to
people approach you, and I'll be surprised if his caliber as a member of parliament, somebody approaches him over there that, Honorable Matwewe me Kofi Mambibi Kaka. I don't know if the Chairman will say no to it.
Okay, all right.
I would find it difficult.
I was in a very rural polling station. So it was walking distance.
All right, point made.
Yes.
Foyao, you say, I love this morning show. Negative or positive, I'll often read it. You know me, even if it's negative, I'll read it out as well. So Foyao, we love you too. Why? Keep watching.
And let me say
two crucial
gratitude to our flag bearer. His presence in Assin North was of tremendous effect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Two quick points still on Assin North and generally, then we can move on to other issues. Gentlemen, I'm trying to ration the time. I want us to talk about the IPPs. I want us to talk about other pertinent matters. So let's make time for that. Sami Jemfi, the Director of Communications, I don't know whether I've got his title.
We call it National Communications Officer.
National Communications Officer, called Charles Opoku at a point, if memory serves, a political prostitute. In fact, there was the allegation that he had wanted to contest on the ticket of the NDC, and he had been rejected, and he went to the MPP. What do you make of that? Roxanne, and then for both of you, and you as well, and then for both of you, Fitch, because we are talking elections, Fitch has come out with that latest report that suggests, and they wouldn't be the first, the EIU came out with something similar. I don't know whether earlier this year. And now Fitch is coming out with this report, basically saying that the NDC is going to win election 2024. And part of it is hinged on the state of the economy and all the other hurdles that government has to deal with. Just today, I was reading in one of the papers, the president talking about the fact that so the economy has grown by 4.2% in the first quarter. I've listened to Dr. Stephen Amwa on whether you can turn this ship around. What do you make of these two scenarios very quickly? In fact, let me start with Dixon this time.
Okay.
Well, we know how rating agencies work in the sense that they have in-country support systems to gather intel. We also know how the polls recently have been, and that's another topic for another day. Our polling systems are off. In fact, some of the polls that came out for Assin North are, a gazillion miles away from what happened in reality. When people were saying that things are going to be tight. But I think that these commentaries in terms of projections can be made, and it all depends on the next foreseeable days. In politics, even 3 weeks can make a tremendous impact or change. And even the day of election, anything can happen. So I would be very cautious in looking at their projections and pronouncements.
But do you know why it's relevant? Because these are the same projections that you've fallen on in the past, written on, and said, oh, even they are saying we're going to win. In the past, when it's favored your party,
listen,
they have
let me
written on
cite.
that.
Let me cite.
Said, yes,
yeah,
it is the truth.
Let me cite you on record that I was placed fourth when projections were put out
in your constituency.
Primaries. Yes, I was going to be the fourth person, and it turned out to be very wrong. So I'm a victim.
But which?
I'm a victim.
Which poll was this? Was this one of these international or a local?
No, local. But I'm just saying. I'm a victim of poor polling or poor projections or poor analysis, and it could have gone against me because people had heard that I'll turn out to be the fourth person in the election. So I'm very skeptical about these things. Now, one other key thing is that,
and if we may point out, Benefson,
what
he posited, and people went after him on the day because
it is quite
his projections turned out very badly, very wrong.
It's quite clear that the metrics that he's using need to be looked at, and I have nothing against Benefson. I have all the respect for him. He's an elderly.
He's my own uncle. I call him uncle.
But his metrics are out of the park now. So the key thing is that, one, this can energize the ruling party or government to put some appropriate steps in place to turn things around. And it can go positive in the sense that presidency, cabinet will sit down and say, hey, let's pull these plugs, let's re-engineer some of these things, and then let's see how it goes.
Okay.
And I think that many people have said a number of things that if we do, can turn things around.
All right.
We'll wait and see.
How do you react to the political prostitution as alleged by Sami Gyamfi against Charles Opoku?
Well,
were you aware that he had supposedly tried to...
Let me put on record that...
in the midst of the Jachikweisen thing, maybe he was trying to put himself in there?
The venom that the NDC used in Asin North, some of them are so bad I can't say here. And I think that it's unfortunate that even very respectable men within the NDC used such venom, and I'm not surprised by Sami Gyamfi's comment, though it's in bad taste. I think that it is very bad to use such words on a candidate.
Okay.
To tell a candidate that he's a political prostitute is very, very, very bad. And I can assure the people of Asin that I think this man was true and true blue, and it's unfortunate that he's lost the election.
All right, points made. Roxanne.
Yes, first of all, the phrase political prostitute is a political language. It's a political language.
Prostitute in any context is not positive.
Say it's political language.
So what does
When
it
you-
mean?
when
Let me
you-
ask you then, what does it mean?
It means somebody who flip-flops between parties.
Is
You are
that the
yet-
character of Charles Opoku? Do you know that for
Well,
certain?
that is Sami's view. That's Sami's view. And I won't take, he could have said that Charles Opoku oscillates between parties. He could have described him that way. It's a matter of
Oscillate might have been an okay word.
good. So it's a matter of language. And sometimes.
So semantics.
Yes, semantics. He's simply saying that Charles was with us,
And he's left.
wanted some things, didn't get the
so
opportunity.
The admission
And
is there.
then-
Charles Opoku was once with the NDC.
Yes. I mean, it's a fact on the ground.
Okay.
No, no.
What,
Fact,
what exactly
fact.
was he?
But you're the same people claiming that he doesn't vote there. So I'm even wondering how he can be with you.
No, you are wrong. You don't equate membership of the NDC to voter registration.
No, I'm just saying.
You understand?
You know.
I could be a member of the NDC actively
in Western region.
in Western region, in Central region.
Okay.
You understand?
Point made. But in what capacity? Was he just a registered member, or what did he play?
I
in
don't.
the NDC?
I think he was with the NDC. Very active.
In spirit.
Not in spirit.
No, please.
Those facts, these are matters on the ground.
Wait, you're a lawyer saying facts. So facts means that he was a polling station. What do you call the branch executive?
No.
So can
He
you
was
do me a
member.
favor and
I can
also
get
me
I
some
can
of
get
those?
I can
We'll
get
do
those,
our own digging.
I
but
could
if you
get
can
those
also do
details
that.
for you later.
So yeah.
But the information on the ground is that he was very active within the party in the Central region. All right.
Charles Opoku.
Yes. He's very
So at
known
what
within
point
the
did he switch to the NDC?
I've been struggling to ascertain
Okay.
that at what point did
So
he
it's not
join?
factual then.
Because you see, during
No,
the,
we
during
cannot
the
also
last
say that it's
election,
not factual
during
just
the
because.
last, during
But
the,
we have to
during
get
the,
into it.
during the 2020 general election, I'm told he wasn't with the NPP.
Okay.
Even just
So as early
two
as
and a half
3 years ago,
he wasn't with
was
the
not-
NPP.
Right.
You understand? And
Maybe he was a
that-
civil servant.
Perhaps.
And
But-
worked with both parties.
Yes. So
So that one isn't a flip flop.
it is not wrong for me to say that he was associated with us.
And so you
But
feel,
today-
you feel the tag political prostitute is apt. Do you feel?
I think politically speaking, it's apt. It's a matter of language.
Because,
You know, these
because
are
if you're a
These words
civil
you are
servant,
setting now, someday they
If you're a
could
civil
use
servant-
that.
No, but
work with both
Sami
parties.
wants
You or someone
Sami wants to get under his hide. That's why you use languages like that. That you must learn how to stay put. You must learn how to remain loyal to
So
ideologies.
you admit it was political propaganda.
It's not propaganda. This is not propaganda.
It is
This
propaganda.
is labeling a person who oscillates, who is not stable.
All right. So point made there.
Yes.
Fitch.
Fitch, yes, these studies are good. If they don't favor you, it helps you to adjust and work harder. If they favor you, it helps you to consolidate and keep working harder. So I don't have a problem with them. But I don't think that as a party we want to rely on it. We want to keep our focus on the ground because the work is on the ground.
All right. Let's now talk about power situation. These are tricky times.
Yes.
The IPPs, we owe them almost to the tune of $1.5 billion. And even how much are we getting from the IMF? You get it. And they are baying for blood, so to speak, in quotation marks. They are at our jugular.
Semantics.
Yes, they are at our throats right now saying, pay up,
They want to sack
pay
our blood.
at least about 30%, which is the equivalent of 420 to 450 million. Or we down our tools. Now they are providing about 60 to 70% of the power generation that we have. Dumso is just a few years ago. Trust me, I don't want to. In fact, in recent times, I've faced a few things and it's pockets of places. The other day, we had your governance and security spokesperson come here. He cast doubt on it. We activated the phone lines. I'm sure he would have wanted to run away. It's not a joke. Now, having experienced what we did, and now the timeline they are giving us, in fact, they say the 1st of July. Yesterday, there was one of our sources told us that the ECG had reached some sort of agreement with AXA and that likely with others. But this is just hearsay for now. What do you make of that situation and what's the way forward, gentlemen?
You know, I really think that the CEO of ECG was very proactive. If you look at the last...
Dubik Mohammed.
Yes. If you look at the last about 12 weeks, when he went after institutions that owed ECG and how he was able to, show up a lot of, monies, though not substantial compared to what ECG is required to pay. I think he's on a very good course, and I really think that this would even encourage him to do more and make sure that institutions in this country that owe ECG will make the necessary payment and allow for them to remit to these IPPs. Now, I must say that the energy industry is a heavy one, and these numbers, though very big within the energy industry, is still manageable. And I would hope that through the leadership of the finance ministry, wherever they can get these revenues.
That's a big question, where they can get this revenue from. And don't you think it is irresponsible on the back of Dumso, what it did to us? Isn't it irresponsible for us to be getting close to this point? I mean, where we've not managed the situation with the IPPs and now we are inching close to such a situation.
I mean, as we say,
is it not irresponsible?
When we went to Tamale, many just GES schools owed ECG.
It speaks of the public accounts
and if we just look at Ghana Education Service, I'm talking about the likes of KNUST, Legon, their indebtedness to ECG, you'd be marveled. And this is just education. Now, when we go into health,
I'm fully aware.
I can only imagine.
There are some of them.
I can only imagine how much Kolebu owes.
Hospitals. There are hospitals that got disconnected, and they say that, look, we've never paid on our own. It's through the finance ministry and this system, and that we don't pay. We don't pay with IGF, and so it's a convoluted mess. But it's a mess that must be dealt with. That one cannot take away from the fact that
I think that
this could be a general. Imagine 60 to 70%. If they take it away, let's say even if 30% is taken away, do you know what the consequences would be?
Very huge
For business, for individuals,
food stores, barbering shops, hairdressing salons. I mean, name it, restaurants, hotels. I understand. And that's why we never, ever want to go back to doing so. And I think Napo, or if I shall say Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, he's a maestro, and he'll do whatever it takes. He's a Ronaldo for electricity at the moment.
I remember in recent times he said that there would be no doomsday.
He'll make it happen.
Roxanne, your take on the IPP situation?
Yes, the incessant complaint by government that we signed expensive IPPs, neither here nor there. But they have signed about...
You mean the PPAs, the purchase power agreements?
They have signed about 3 more, in addition to what they came to, and they are signing more. So,
but that's also because now we no longer have, I think about 2 years ago, we've not had excess capacity that we used to talk about. Now we are borderline, in fact. So we need more capacity. So they will have to sign more.
Exactly. So why complain about those that we came to meet? Look, they claim that they have extended rural electrification from about 89% to about...
It's not that we claim, it's been done.
Okay. Yeah. So if you are increasing the rural electrification,
obviously your power needs will increase.
If you claim you are establishing one district, one factory, you need power to power. Why shouldn't I?
You've seen the factories.
Look, hold on. Joy has a documentary
170
regarding factories that are grown with bush, but are sitting on paper as one district, one factory.
So you
site.
mean the sugar factory or what? I mean,
there may be a couple that indeed you have done.
The sugar factory.
But a lot of them are at various stages of completion. So Dr. Kissi,
it's done. It's been done.
I am saying that if you claim the man is heckling me.
I'm not heckling you. I'm sorry.
If you claim that you want to build a factory in every district, including South Dine, you need power to power it.
Right.
So they should get their narratives right. I am saying that, like you said, where we are, the government has mismanaged the energy sector and running us into a crisis if we are not careful. So I'm not surprised that the IPPs are demanding blood. And indeed, they have huge operational
They
costs.
actually say that to stay afloat, keep their heads
They
above
need
water,
these payments.
they need
Because-
those sums
because
of
you
money.
see, they
if you listen
get-
to Mr.
they-
Ametop,
If you look at their
Ametop
books,
or
the
something,
nature of the operations, the operations are very, very expensive.
they are cost intensive.
Very, very, very high costly intensive. So they need these monies to be able to offset those to run. No, I'm sure they must rack up some debt. So they'll have to pay
Russell,
off.
but realistically, looking at where we are,
Yeah.
even the first tranche of the IMF deal, how much did we get? 600 million. The next one, we are getting around 300 million or so, or another. I mean, that is not even enough. What we are getting in an entire year is not enough to pay the entirety of that bill. How realistic is
But
it?
you heard the president say that when he said that he's capable of bringing the economy back on track, he stands
Back to
by it.
life.
Stands by it. Meanwhile, the money we are getting, like we are discussing, it's a drop in the ocean. Honestly, we have a problem. And the economy they inherited in 2017, this ought not to be happening to us in 2023.
Really?
This should have been an economy that would have doubled by now if we had kept that trajectory. Don't talk of COVID, because COVID brought you a windfall. You wouldn't have
I
gotten.
haven't even opened my mouth.
No, but I can anticipate what you want
You
to
can
say.
hear me say COVID.
Yes, I can
Wow.
anticipate. You see, COVID brought you money that you would ordinarily wouldn't have gotten. So here is the deal. You have a problem, but the problem also brought you free money.
There's no free money.
So how did you expend it?
There's no free
So,
money.
How did you
so let me
expend it?
ask you, gentlemen. I mean, let's put aside the blue, white, and red.
Correct.
And the green, black, white, and red. Let's set that aside. We are Ghanaians.
Yeah. First and foremost.
If this thing goes south,
Uh-huh.
I will not be happy, because someday you wake up, you
Mine
can't
too.
iron your clothes. You come,
Yeah.
you are likely
I'll
going
be
to
doing only butter curry.
late. I wish I could do that all the time. I can't. Unless it's a Friday. You see, the inconvenience. I remember back then, it was very, very, very inconvenient.
Yeah, using charcoal for ironing.
And maybe you may even get to a place, because they are running extra cost to run a generator. So the cost of the thing you would buy has shot up, all kinds of things.
And those who stole generators.
How do we prevent this? What do you think is a plausible way of preventing
Efficient
people should
management.
pay up.
Efficient management.
Just 1 minute each. 1 minute each. Straight
Efficient
to the point.
management, not doing politics with management and administration of these matters. Very candid, before fights, good policies. That's what will take us out.
And
What
I,
will
and
they
I
do?
think that institutions that all should pay, to pay up. And we need to run away from the insulation where, governmental institutions, and I always say this,
Finance ministry, they cut them off. Right?
institutions,
Yeah.
Right?
it reminds me of the police station that needs to be cut off. And
Because there was a point when, I think last year or this year, the finance
so
ministry
I
itself
really
was
think,
culpable.
And let me add this.
Government-
Every year, when we do the budgetary considerations, the budgets that the institutions bring include payment of electricity bills for which we approve. So I don't know why year in, year out we approve budget for these institutions to pay like their bills, and yet it doesn't get paid.
All right. So let's look at two major matters I want us to look at. The last one is a bit light, but it's also of great consequence from our social angling. But the first one, you see, I look at some of the projects and the fact that we have a repetitive cycle, a vicious cycle of abandoned projects. I'm sure if we quantified, people of Ghana, if we quantified how much we've lost in terms of projects that have started and stalled, roads that have started and not been completed. There are some roads we've been constructing them since 1992. Till today, you hear that. If we could quantify the sums of money, I'm sure we would all be in shock. So I'm looking now at the National Cathedral project. And that barren hole over there. It moved from $100 million to over $400 million. Now nothing.
Open cast mine.
You look at Agenda 111. Professor Bika has said this is a recipe for disaster. You will not finish. You will not get anywhere. When you look at all of these projects springing up, and again, we are on a leash when it comes to spending. What do you see? What should we be doing to avert more wastage?
Well, there's one key thing in finance, which is what we call sunk cost, and there's one rule that you don't chase bad projects with good money.
Right.
And I know that Finance Minister, per his experience in Yale, knows these very valid points. And I know for sure that as it stands now, per the leashes that we have, we will not be at liberty to spend as we were doing a few years before COVID, because of even just the fact that funds are hard to come by. So I know in real certainty, although I don't sit in cabinet, that government has dialed back on a number of projects. And I think in due time, we will hear, because I think even today, Dr. Nsia Sare will be commenting at the Ministry of Information with regards to Agenda 111, and other...
That is the advisor on health.
Correct.
Right.
So we'll be able to appreciate some of the nuances regarding the Agenda 111.
I mean, it shouldn't be a problem to say, for example, Agenda 111, but you know what? Within the fiscal room that we have, look, we're going to construct 10 or 6 and do them well, ensure that they are stocked and all of that.
That's what I'm saying, that, there's been some dial backs, I'm sure. I mean, let me cite one that I can talk of.
You can guarantee.
Which is the Swami, the change we did in the last session.
You mean the interchange?
Yeah, no, I'm saying the change we did in terms of moving funds from one project
right. I now get it.
To another place. So these are clearly decisions that have showed or demonstrated that there's been a dial down on some projects.
Okay.
So I really think that moving forward, we will be seeing, and I think Finance Minister in the last couple of weeks even made that clear that there will be infrastructural changes.
It's really difficult now when such things are mentioned.
I'm just saying
and
that
when the finance minister especially says some of these things, it's really difficult to, until you see implementation.
Well, he's put it in writing.
It is, okay.
He has put it in writing.
Let's see how it goes.
The document was shared, I think.
Let's see how it goes in terms of implementation. But good point there.
Yes.
Quickly on that.
Yeah, it's, every time you come to me, you say I should do it quickly, but you give me enough time to speak. Anyway, now, I don't think the finance minister is giving us...
But I don't stop you when you're
You
speaking,
don't.
do I?
I don't think the finance minister is giving us what Yale taught him. Oh. Yes, honestly. It's not giving us what Yale
delivered. Do you have to go?
I have to go there.
Do you have to go?
Look, 98
but this is a bit like chopping a man at his knees. 98
of your colleagues said they should go. So I am not saying so. His own MP said he should go. He's not giving us quality management of the economy.
Hold your...
I won't heckle.
That's one.
I won't heckle.
I know, the Agenda 111, it's something I follow passionately.
You have one in your district?
I do.
Oh. Wow.
Government is actually not constructing the 111. They are constructing 45. They call it phase 1. Okay, phase 1. So they dotted it in districts that presently don't have district hospitals. So there are about 7 or 6 in the Volta region. And I do have one. Now,
what is the state of that one that you have?
It's progressing. I spoke about it here.
If you had to give it a percentage in terms of completion.
I think it's about 65.
Excellent.
They are roofing
65%.
now. They are roofing now.
Excellent.
So I want that project to be honest.
I'm sure he would be very happy for that project to be completed.
I have actually.
So I don't think he would have any.
No. I have actually commended government for that. Okay. And
where exactly is it located?
It's at Beve.
Beve.
Yes,
okay.
It's at Beve. All right. So, but the other issue is in respect of the matter you raised, abandoned projects. I'm actually in court. I've sued government in respect of the E-blocks.
Right.
The E-blocks.
I think I recall.
Yes, the E-blocks is one of the projects that we ought.
We've done many.
You haven't done many. You see, as a government that is rolling out free SHS policy, the completion of the E-blocks ought to have been prioritized to be able to give you more facility to expand access. E-blocks have been completed and are sitting in the bush. I don't have to belabor this point. A lot of documentaries have been done on this. And I agree that You see, these are monies that are locked up. The facility is not being put to the purpose for which it's been put up. It's important that we address this matter. If you read the PIAC report, which comes to us every year, the assessment of the PIAC committee is that a lot of projects that are undertaken by the fund either are abandoned somehow or completed, not put to use. Auditor General's report that he and I interrogate as members of the committee is replete with reports or audit findings that projects completed, not put to the purpose for which they be, and that it takes a parliamentary committee to direct that the project be put to the purpose for which it was set up. Totally needless. So we need to unlock funds locked up in this project and complete those that we had started. We were assured by government a year ago that as part of their priority economic measures, they were going to prioritize projects and complete those that had been started before they start new ones. But as we speak, they've reneged on that policy. They are starting new projects. Uncompleted ones are still in a state of abandonment.
Okay.
So as a people, we need to interrogate this. It's a very important point you have raised.
All right. So that definitely, and of course, in the economic straits in which we find ourselves, we cannot run away from it. If what is going to affect your bread and butter is under siege, you can't pretend.
No, it's the government promised us to prioritize.
Right.
A year ago, they are not prioritized.
So just to cap off the conversation, gentlemen, this one is just by the way, in terms of our economy and maybe related to the Fitch thing. Things will get better. That is what Mr. President is saying. I don't know how optimistic you are, but it's not granted. It's not a given. It's something we must scrape.
We are working towards.
But the point I want us to look at, this is a lighter note, but it's very relevant in our social context.
Okay.
Yvonne Nelson and Sarkodie.
Okay.
I think they are taking each other to the cleaners now.
The media is encouraging it.
Well, they have put it out there. Whether or not the media may have done this or that, I have actually not posted anything on this.
So I'm not going to comment about it.
I have only.
So I'm not going to comment about it.
Well, it's your choice, but I feel as a social issue, Sam George came here and shared some pretty interesting thoughts on this matter. My question to you, both of you. What do you make of this saga, and maybe what are the lessons to take from there? I've listened to Sarkodie. You see a lot of
legal issues.
On what exactly?
With regards to this whole saga.
On what exactly?
But I, like I said, I don't think I have the time and energy to even talk about this on air. It's not necessary.
Roxanne.
I want to comment on the president's take that things will get better. Things ain't getting better. Cement is 100 cedis now, from about 30 cedis. Petrol, it's much higher than he came to inherit it. So I don't understand where the president is getting this from, that things will get better. In terms of what?
Cost of living.
It's getting higher.
It will improve.
How?
Inflation is what's contributing.
Improve by decreasing prices.
There are two ways.
Do you know the rate of inflation you inherited in 2017?
Pre-COVID?
No, you see, forget about pre-COVID.
No, I'm just saying pre-COVID, right?
No, when you inherited the economy in 2017,
pre-COVID.
do you know the inflation rate?
I'm saying
it was 19.
Worldwide.
It was 19.
Worldwide.
And you lambasted us.
No, worldwide
you came to parliament to say that you brought inflation down to a single digit.
Worldwide.
Kissi, hold
inflation
on.
rate.
Kissi, hold on.
I was just talking to some friends of mine who are in Germany.
This is my time.
And they've been
stop heckling me.
No, I'm not heckling. You asked me, and I'm telling you that worldwide.
You came to parliament to lambast the NDC and praise yourself that you brought inflation to a single decade, 9%.
Pre-COVID.
Your minister came to sing praises.
Pre-COVID.
Today it is 54. He can't talk.
Post-COVID.
Today it is 54%. He can't talk.
Post-COVID. And worldwide,
cedi depreciation.
What are the worldwide
cedi
inflation
depreciation
rates?
From 42 now it is 12 cedis, 15 cedis.
Worldwide inflationary rates are high.
How about cedi depreciation?
It's just not.
Is that also worldwide? So, my brother,
right?
The president this assurance from the president has no basis because things aren't getting better. Two, if one Nelson, honestly, we've been in the bush, so we haven't had time to pay attention to what's happening. But I think it's bad. It's a lesson to young people that, yes, by all means, get into relationships. That's how we all got married. But we should be careful.
We should be careful. Before we go, gentlemen, let's bring in Justin Frimpong Kodua. He is General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. A very good morning to you, JFK. Hello, Mr. Frimpong Kodua. Can you hear me, sir? All right, so we're expecting to have a brief interaction with Justin Frimpong Kodua, who is General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, of course, on the back of the Assin North By-Election and what transpired there. Let me try one more time. Mr. Frimpong Kodua, very good morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Finally, thank God we have you joining the conversation. I hope you're well, sir.
Yes, I'm doing great.
We thank God. What do you make of the show of the MPP in Assin North? The Assin North, the Assin area generally, because it was, before it was split, Kennedy Ejapong was a member of parliament. Then when it was split, he became the member of parliament for Assin Central. But it appears your fortunes over the last two elections, I mean the main election and the by-election, have not been that good. What do you make of what happened?
Good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. And I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the NDC and Mr. Kissi for winning the primary, and also to commend the good people of Asin North for the exercise that was conducted and the way they comported themselves, and also the electoral commission and the security agencies. It goes further to keeping our multi-party democracy, and since 1992 we have been having elections every 4 years, and also with some by-elections. And for me, it is Ghana that won the elections, and I also commend our party supporters and members for the good show that we put at Assin North. For every election, every political party goes in to win. And definitely, if we had won, the narrative or the discussion this morning would have been different.
Right.
So what I can say is that it was a by-election, and we knew it was going to be a difficult election against a person who had won in 2020, and also was known or is known in the constituency as against our candidates who won our primaries about under a month ago. So definitely we didn't have enough time to market him. But we've learned lessons from it, and as a party, we have taken it in good faith. We just dust ourselves off and give another shot in 2024. That's what I have to say.
All right, a few more things, if you may. I'm curious, though, there was a woman who had contested before on the ticket of the MPP, and she had gone toe-to-toe with Kissi and lost. Wasn't it a simple... in fact, she had been the member of parliament there. Why wasn't it simple, I mean, for the MPP to go with her instead?
Well, if you have followed the tradition of the New Patriotic Party, we are always open to contest. So, in line with that, our party opened nominations for anyone who had interest to contest. She didn't pick form, so it's assumed that for some reason maybe she didn't want to contest. So, and that is what happened. So it's not like we put a candidate on the delegates of Assin North. We opened the contest, and those who had interest came to pick form and contested.
Sami Jemfi of the NDC referred to your candidate Charles Opoku as a political prostitute. I hear he dabbled with the NDC and joined your party. Were you aware of this dynamic?
Well, I believe you should have asked Sami with any evidence to substantiate that claim. For me, I didn't have any information to that effect.
Now, on the issue of money, both parties were accused, the NDC and the MPP, but more on the end of the MPP from what we gathered on the day. How do we deal with this issue of money in our politics? Do you admit that it's becoming a huge problem, or it has become a big problem?
It's rather unfortunate you make that statement that more was what we gathered on the
Well,
MPP.
I'm merely saying that in terms of reportage, we heard more accusations from the NDC side on your side. If you paid attention to our coverage, you would have realized same. I never said that
it
maybe
depends
more
on what
actually
you-
happened. I said per our reportage.
It depends on what you wanted to cover. At the end of the day,
It depends on the people we interacted with, not what we wanted to cover.
it depends. At least it depends on where you stand, my brother. So at the end of the day, anyone who went there saw what happened. And I will not say because I'm MPP, I will say we are holy. At least the cut across both MPP and NDC. So if you want to be fair, you just have to be fair on that point. And if you are talking about how we address those issues, it's a candid question that we all have to look at.
So what do we
At the
do
end of
moving
the day,
forward
every
as
political
all parties?
party-
Because I started by talking about the fact that both parties have been involved. So what is the way forward?
Yes, I believe it would have been better to have ended it there. That it is something that came across at both parties. But anyway, going forward, basically as a country and as political parties, we all need to sit down and look at how best we can conduct elections based on ideas, based on the policies, based on programs that we'll be able to espouse to the voters. And it's something that I agree that we need to look at it, even from each political party, our internal elections to the general elections. It's something that as a country we all have to have a critical look at it. But you go into elections, you have strategies. And
Okay.
if part of your strategy, it means that getting to voters, understanding their concerns and plight. There are certain places that we went that people would demand, my roofing speed gone up, I need support, and people will come to you, I want to do this business, you need to support me to do that business. And some people will come with all sorts of concerns and complaints. And if you're a political party and you want to win an election, definitely you cannot turn your back on such a request. Definitely you have to meet the person halfway. So if in the course of doing all these things, definitely there will be a exchange of money. Because at the end of the day, if someone is claiming that he's sick, he needs money to go to hospital, you have to give the person money. If someone is saying his roofing speed has gone off, and you have to buy it for the person. So it's something that in our body politics that we need to have a look at.
All right. We're grateful for your time. We really have to go, but in some 30 seconds, if you will just oblige me for some 30 seconds, the Fitch, position on election 2024, just give me some 20 to 30 seconds. What does that mean for the MPP? How have you received it?
No. For us, as where we sit, we welcome every constructive criticism, suggestions, and comments, and we take everything in good faith. All will be to our advantage. It's better for us to accept the criticism than to pretend that it doesn't exist. At least then it will make us complacent, and that's something we want to avoid.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining the conversation. Justin Frimpong-Kodua is General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Asana Etuam says, very nice conversation. There's also Jejom Jr. who says, please kindly ask my MP for Awoshi Soutum, you are saying Anya Soutum, that why he and his people have abandoned us. The roads are terrible. Agape Road is in a dilapidated state, but I don't think it's about being abandoned. He's actually been on the ground. Would you like to, remove your mouth in some 20 seconds? And then we are done. You are the final person speaking.
We'll keep pushing and hopefully have some results with Agape. It's really bad, I must admit. I was there recently. It's quite bad. At the barest minimum, when the rains are out, we will do some resurfacing. That is within our power, within the constituency. We'll try and do that. But beyond that, we need bigger budget.
A bigger budget.
Which we can also sustain.
Right. Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much. So they say the first shall be last and last shall be first. We were joined by Justin Frimpong-Kodua, General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, and here in the studio by Roxanne Nelson Dapea Mekbo, Member of Parliament for South Dai, and Dr. Dixon Adomako Kissi, Member of Parliament, Anya Sotum. You're still live on the AM show. There's more coming your way right after this break.